Imagine a crowded marketplace, thousands of brands shouting, advertising, posting, promising. Every day, your potential customers are bombarded with messages, some loud, flashy, attractive. Yet after the noise fades, only a handful of companies are remembered, trusted, bought from. What separates the unforgettable from the forgettable, the brands that thrive from the ones that sputter and die? According to Donald Miller, it isn't always the product itself. Often, it's the story you tell. Humans are storytellers by nature. We absorb, understand, and care most about stories: who the hero is, what challenge they face, who helps them, and how they win or lose. When your brand becomes a story, when you cast your customer as the hero and craft a clear path for them to success, you tap into something deeply wired in our minds. That's not fluff. That's the difference between a brand that gets ignored and one people trust, buy from, and talk about. As the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus once observed, strife is justice. In human life, and especially in business, clarity emerges from conflict, from identifying a real problem, acknowledging it, and offering a way out. If you confuse, you lose. Miller's work is about turning noise into clarity, confusion into conviction, and helping your audience find a path from struggle to victory. If you're an entrepreneur, marketer, writer, business leader, or even someone building a personal brand, this book isn't just a manual, it's a wake-up call. It invites you to stop talking about yourself and start thinking about your audience's story. It challenges you to stop selling products and instead help people win their own battles. If you love powerful, insightful, and life-changing books, then you've found the right channel. Every week, we break down the ideas that transforms mindsets, elevate success, and shift lives. So don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because you will want to catch every book we review. Let's continue. The core of the book, the SB7 framework, and why it matters. At the heart of building a story brand is a simple but powerful idea. Every compelling story brand mirrors the structure of a classic story. Miller encapsulates this in what he calls the SB7 framework. The framework has 7 essential parts: a character, the customer, who has a problem and meets a guide, the brand, who gives them a plan and calls them to action, that helps them avoid failure and leads them to success. This isn't just theoretical. When applied well, it transforms how brands speak and how customers respond. Why does this matter? Because human beings are wired to make sense of the world through narrative. In a world with rapidly shrinking attention spans, where digital ads, posts, emails, tweets bombard us at every turn, the brain filters loudness but is drawn to meaning. A clear, emotionally resonant story cuts through the noise. That's the genius of the SB7 framework. Through the rest of this summary, I'll show you how each element unfolds, revealing lessons, connecting them, and illustrating them with real-world examples that resonate globally and in America right now. Placing the customer as the hero. Lesson 1. Your audience is not you. Too many brands, especially those built by founders, make a fundamental mistake. They cast themselves as the hero. They talk about themselves, their achievements, their features, their pedigree. The result? The story feels about them, not the customer. And when that happens, people tune out. This is one of Miller's central warnings. Instead, radical but logical, treat your customer as the hero of your story. Let their hopes, desires, frustrations, and ambitions be center stage. Your brand is not the hero. Your brand is the guide. This shift aligns with a deeper human truth. We all want to feel seen, understood, and empowered. Whether it's a small business owner in Abuja struggling to get new customers, a startup founder in Silicon Valley trying to stand out, or a freelancer in Seoul trying to build a reputation, each of us wants a story where we are the hero, not someone else.
When brands do this, customers lean in. They see themselves, their needs, their hopes reflected in the story. And when they see themselves, they begin to trust. Recognizing the real problem, external, internal, philosophical. Lesson 2, don't just sell features, understand the deeper struggle. Once you've identified that your customer is the hero facing a real problem, external, internal, philosophical, your brand must step in, not as a heroic savior, but as a wise, reliable guide. That's the third component of the SB7 framework. What makes a guide effective? 2 qualities: empathy and authority.
Empathy, showing that you understand the hero's problem, frustrations, fears, hopes. Authority, showing that you have the experience, tools, or credentials to help, so you're not just sympathetic, but also capable. In real life, look at global brands like Airbnb. They don't just sell a place to stay. Their messaging often evokes belonging, discovery, comfort, authenticity, understanding the traveler's deeper yearning for community or experience, rather than just bricks and mortar. That's empathy. Then they back it with authority. Thousands of success stories, reviews, trust badges, evidence that they can deliver. That combination makes them trusted. If you ignore empathy and speak only from authority, e.g., "we are certified, we are the best," you risk sounding cold, salesy, disconnected. If you rely only on empathy, "we feel your pain," without authority, you may comfort people but not move them to act. The balance of both, guide with heart and competence, is what turns a message into trust. Moreover, when you act as the guide, you're not stealing the customer's spotlight, you're enabling them to win. That's powerful psychologically because people naturally root for themselves. Give them a plan. Lesson 4, clarity dissolves hesitation. Once you're established as a trusted guide, offering empathy plus authority, your next job, give the hero, customer, a clear, simple plan. Why is this essential? Because people don't act when they're uncertain, they hesitate. Inaction often stems from confusion or fear. What do I actually need to do? Is this really going to work? What if I fail? A plan removes that friction. And in marketing, a plan is more than idealism. It's a concrete path forward. Miller describes 2 types of plans: a process plan, the step-by-step instructions the customer needs to follow to get from where they are to success, and an agreement plan, a set of assurances that address objections and reduce risk. Good plans are simple, clear, and doable. Behavioral psychology suggests that the easier a path seems, the more likely people are to follow it. For an example, if you run a small digital marketing agency in Abuja, your plan could be something like: Step 1, book a 15-minute call. Step 2, get our audit report. Step 3, we launch your first ad campaign. Make each step unambiguous. Then back it with guarantees or trust signals. We'll refund you if we don't double your leads, or see 20% growth in 30 days. By doing so, you eliminate confusion, like what do I do next? Reduce risk, like what if it fails? And build confidence. That's the clarity that converts. Call them to action. Lesson 5, people won't act unless prompted. Even with a compelling story, a clear problem, a trusted guide, and a solid plan, many customers still won't act. Why? Because humans often procrastinate. We need a prompt. We need a push. That's why a clear call to action is indispensable. It's the moment in the story where the hero is asked to step forward. Miller distinguishes between 2 kinds of calls to action. Direct call to action, e.g., buy now, get started, schedule a call. Transitional calls to action, softer asks like learn more, download free guide, join our newsletter. Calls to action need to be visible, simple, and appealing. Too often, brands hide their CTA, hoping customers will figure out how to act. That's a recipe for lost conversions. As Miller says, paraphrasing, if you confuse, you lose. In the world today, many businesses, especially in saturated markets, struggle because they don't push people enough, or they overcomplicate the path. For instance, businesses offering digital courses globally often provide too many CTAs. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Instagram, DM us on WhatsApp, visit our blog, get the premium course, check out. The result? Overwhelm. Customer closes the tab and moves on. Contrast that with a brand that says simply, "Get started now for $49," or "Book your free consultation." That clarity, that invitation often makes all the difference. Highlight the stakes. Lesson 6. People respond to risk and loss as much as to hope. People are not motivated only by what they might gain. They are also deeply motivated by what they stand to lose. This is a well-known principle in behavioral psychology, loss aversion. In the context of storytelling and marketing, Miller argues that effective brands make the potential failure real. They help customers see what's at stake if they don't act. That gives urgency, weight, purpose. In the SB7 framework, after call to action, comes the part about helping customers avoid failure. Then you paint a picture of success. For example, imagine an edtech startup in the US offering coding boot camps to inexperienced programmers. They could say, gain framing, learn to code in 12 weeks and transform your career. Loss framing, stakes, don't miss out. Jobs in tech are passing by the unskilled. Each year you delay, you risk falling behind, settling for lower pay. When you do both, show aspiration and risk of inaction, you fasten attention. Customers begin to ask, can I afford not to act? In a global context, think of many entrepreneurs in Nigeria or elsewhere who hesitate to invest in skills or tools. If a brand can frame not only what they'll gain, skills, income, respect, but also what they risk losing, lost time, opportunity, regressing, the message becomes sharper, more compelling. By acknowledging stakes and showing a path out, you empower people to act, not out of fear, but out of clarity and purpose. Paint the vision of success. Lesson 7. Don't assume people know how their lives will improve. Show them.
Finally, once you've guided your customer through the problem, plan, CTA, and stakes, don't assume they imagine the rewards clearly. You must paint a vivid, aspirational image of success. Show them not just what they'll get, but how life will feel after. What will change, emotionally, socially, practically. That's the final arc in the SB7 framework. Think of brands that do this well. Many global fitness brands, for instance Nike, rarely lead with specs, type of fabric, stitching, technology. Instead, they sell a vision, empowerment, strength, confidence, identity. Just do it. They demonstrate success by showing the hero, you, stronger, victorious, transformed. That's not just marketing, that's a mirror to hope. In local contexts, say a small business in Abuja offering bookkeeping or financial services, don't just promise books balanced. Show the owner what success looks like. You'll have peace of mind, feel confident about taxes, hire your first staff, expand operations, and finally quit worrying about cash flow. Paint the transformation in vivid terms. When people see where they can go, not just the mechanics of the plan, they're far more likely to begin. These lessons are not isolated. They build, stack, rely on each other. Here's how they flow logically. Once you view the customer as hero, you must understand their real problem, external, internal, philosophical, because only then can you truly connect. Once you understand that problem, to help, you must position yourself as guide, empathetic and authoritative, not as another hero. But being a guide isn't enough. You must give a clear plan to dissolve confusion and uncertainty.
Plans need to be paired with calls to action, otherwise customers stay passive. To spark urgency and motivation, overlay that CTA with stakes and consequences, what they risk by not acting. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, show them what success looks like, the transformation, the reward. Skip any of these steps and the story loses power. Fail to treat the customer as hero and you're just bragging. Fail to show stakes and the urgency disappears. Fail to paint success and people can't imagine why they should bother. Take Nike. They rarely start with "our shoes have X centimeters air cushion." They start with "you can push further, you can sweat, you can win." They frame the customer as an athlete, hero, overcoming struggle, guided by Nike toward triumph. Success isn't just a sneaker, it's confidence, strength, identity. Similarly, look at Airbnb. Travelers aren't buying a room, they're buying belonging, adventure, authenticity. They position the traveler as the hero, maybe anxious about fake hotels or cold rooms. Airbnb guides them with verified hosts, reviews, easy booking, plan, book now CTA, and paints a vision. Not just a place to sleep, but a home away from home, a cultural experience. Their story taps both emotional and practical needs, comfort, safety, belonging. In many developing economies, small businesses crave trust and clarity. They lack the resources for experimentation. The StoryBrand model helps them craft a message that speaks directly to their audience's fears, hopes, and aspirations, and that can transform their growth trajectory. The philosophical thread, why story, not just selling, resonates. At the heart of Miller's framework lies a deeper truth about the human condition. We are meaning-seeking animals. We don't just crave products, we crave purpose, identity, recognition, progress. A brand that recognizes that tells a story rather than sells a pitch, connects to our core. As the existential philosopher Viktor Frankl said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. People long for transformation. They want to rewrite their story from struggle to success, from uncertainty to confidence, from fear to hope. A brand that offers not just a product, but a path, a plan, a guide, a vision, speaks directly to that longing. Moreover, clarity is not trivial. In an age of information overload, when every brand screams for attention, the human brain seeks simplicity, coherence, meaning. Confusing, cluttered messages are filtered out. As Miller says, if you confuse, you lose. So storytelling is not manipulation, it is alignment between what people are seeking, hope, resolution, dignity, and what your brand can offer. Why this book is even more relevant today in 2026 and beyond. We live in a world saturated by noise, social media, ads, newsletters, content, all clamoring for attention. We also live in a world rife with uncertainty, economic instability, shifting job markets, global challenges. People are no longer just buying products, they're buying reassurance, identity, meaning. This makes the lessons of building a story brand more powerful than ever. Whether you're an online educator offering a course, a fintech startup giving microloans, a small business owner offering services, or a global brand, the clarity, empathy, and narrative this book demands are what break through the clutter. Consider the rise of solopreneurs, freelancers, side hustles in countries like Nigeria, Kenya, India, people trying to carve out a niche for themselves in saturated markets. For them, using StoryBrand means not just marketing, but self-positioning. It means telling a story that resonates globally while anchoring to local demands. In America, too, with intense competition, brand fatigue, and consumer distrust, brands that survive, like Nike, Airbnb, are the ones that tell stories, not specs. Finally, in uncertain times, people want guides. They want trustworthy voices. If your brand can be that guide, the one with clarity, empathy, and a plan, you don't just survive, you build something people believe in. what this means for you. If you've read this far, it means you already sense something true, that marketing isn't just about features, pricing, or ads. It's about humanity. It's about connection. It's about helping someone win in their story. You want impact. You want meaning. This is your call. Take the lessons of building a story brand. Make your customers the heroes. Listen for their pain, their hopes, their struggles. Be a guide, not a bragging hero. Give them a path that feels clean and hopeful. Call them forward. Help them avoid what haunts them. Paint a vision of victory. In doing that, you might just transform more than a sale. You might transform a life. You might build a brand that matters. As another ancient truth goes, he who tells the story rules the world. If you craft that story with clarity, empathy, and purpose, maybe you'll not just participate in the marketplace, but reshape it. If this message resonated with you, subscribe and join us for more wisdom that fuels growth.